Hello everybody, it's Wendy, and today we're going to make a really pretty pair of earrings using products. Whoa, my light is flashing. Products from the Bargain Bead Box January 2021 edition. It was called, where's my little paper? I've lost my paper. Roses Are Pink. Sorry. And if you're not familiar with Bargain Bead Box, it is a monthly bead box subscription. It's delivered straight to your door once a month for $17.95. It usually has between $65 and $70 worth of beading supplies in there. It's got gemstone beads. It has findings. You'll see some of the stuff in this video. I'm using a lot of stuff from it this month's box in this video, but I'm not using everything. I pulled out some stuff from my own stash. But it has a lot of great stuff in there, and it's usually between a $65 and $75 value, and like I said, it's $17.95 delivered to your door. That's including your shipping and everything. If you subscribe to Bargain Bead Box, you also get a coupon code to use in their sister store. You can use it over and over and over all month long. It's 30% off of their already great prices. So it really is a great deal. It's my favorite beading subscription service out there. And if you want to subscribe, you can use this coupon code Wendy2. It will give you $2 off of your first subscription box, your first month box. And then, or if you don't want to subscribe and you just want to shop in their store, which you can do, you don't have to be a subscriber to shop in their store, you can use Wendy2 and it will give you $2 off of your purchase. Okay, so it's a great deal. I'll have links in the description box below if you're interested. Let me get that out of the way. Alright, so today here's what we're going to use. We are going to use these chandelier findings that came in this month's box. And these are, they're not double-sided, but they almost could be. Yeah, that side's flat and this side's got a little bit more dimension to it. So we're using these. We're going to use the spacer beads, these rose gold spacer beads that came in the box this month. These little guys right here. We're going to be using these flowers. Whoops. That's these little bell flowers that came in the box this month. We're going to be using some, I have pulled out some crimp beads and some very tiny, these are tiny little bead caps from my own stash. Stacy from Crystalline, or Casey, gosh, Stacy's my sister-in-law. I've got her on my mind today. Casey from Crystalline Designs sent these to me, and they are so tiny. I love them. So I'm going to be using some of those, some crimp beads. I've got a few of these seed beads out here. Now these are inside lined. These are size 8s, and they're just like a hot pink inside lined, transparent seed bead. Okay, so I've got those out. I've got some little 6mm miracle beads here. And these are, whoops, I just dropped one. I can't afford to drop one because I don't have that many to start with. So these are called miracle beads. They are little beads that have like a luminous effect inside of them. They're coated, they're acrylic, but they're coated several times and it gives them like this, I don't know, kind of luminous, cool effect to them. And I don't know, some people say something about them having healing properties because they're miracle beads, but I don't really believe in that, so we're not going there. I've got some tiny Preciosa bicones. Now these are 4mm, and let me see if I can, I just think they're Fuchsia AB. Yeah, Fuchsia AB. So that's these little bicones. Okay. We've got some tiny clamshell covers for the Coriana chain. I'm using 2 of these little head pins that they sent in the box this month, these little ball head pins. And I'm using some other spacers, maybe. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these or not. I pulled these from my own stash, but I can't decide if I want to use them or not. They are a little bit different shade of rose gold, but I may use them to give it some depth, so we'll see. And then I have some tiny little 4mm jump rings in rose gold up here. And I've got Coriana chain. Now the Coriana chain is available on my website if you're interested in it. It is a beading chain, and I've got, so here's what we're going to do. So you'll just need to cut this, and the reason that I didn't tell you, I'm not going to tell you lengths, is so you'll have to cut it to be your own, however you like it. So I've got graduated sizes here. I've got shorter ones for the outsides here, these outside circles. I've got a little bit longer ones for the next circles, and I've got a very long one for the middle. But now I'm probably going to trim these up. I just cut them all probably a little longer than I need them. I just wanted to make sure I had enough room, you know. So you can cut your chains however length that you want them to be, but you're going to need a piece for each loop. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 10 pieces of the chain. And I think that's everything. So we've got our tools. You'll need your tools. My tools are Xuron. Let me say that because somebody always asks. Xuron, right there. They are from Amazon. And I'm using, these are the cutters. I've got the needle nose, flat nose pliers, round nose pliers, and these are, I believe, called short nose something or others. I don't know. But anyway, you can look them up on Amazon. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing I need to do, I've got my little chandelier findings here, and I need to figure out how I want, let's take this one out of the way to start. So I need to figure out how I want to put my beads on these chains. So I'm going to take my chains and I'm going to lay them out here in front of me, just so I can, you know, kind of get a picture here of what it needs to look like. And now I know this middle one is super long. It's probably not going to stay that long, but like I said, I wanted to have enough room just in case. So, all right, let's scoot him up a little bit so everybody can see what I'm doing. Okay, and I may pull this camera out just a bit. Let me see if I can pull the camera out a bit. Okay, so hopefully this will be better and everybody can see. There's always somebody that says you need to zoom in more, and there's always somebody that says you need to zoom out more. So I'm like, I can't please everybody, so we're just doing it like this. I'm doing the best I can, guys. Okay, so the first thing I know that I need to do is I need to put a clamshell tip on the end of each one of these little Coriana chains. Now, these little crimp beads are like 2mm crimp beads, okay? And then I've got these little tiny clamshell covers. I do not have these on my website. I have a different kind on my website, the kind with the loop, the open loop, but either one will work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a crimp bead on the very end of each one of my Coriana chains. I'm not doing it pretty, it's not going to show, so I'm just going to put it up there, flatten it, crimp it down, and cut off the end of my chain. Don't do that, I got up too far on the end. So let's do another one. Sometimes when you cut the chain, you know, it weakens the very, very end of it, so you have to be kind of careful, and I was not careful. Okay, here, another crimp bead. Let's do this guy. Just crimp him down really good. Pull, he's tight. And then I'm just going to take the little clamshell cover, and these ones right here come in from the side. Oops. I'm going to have problems with dropping things today, I can already tell. Okay, he's going to come in from the side. I'm just going to lay my chain, my little crimp bead cover in there, and I'm going to close this up. And I'm just going to, I was trying to show you that it comes in from the side, but it's easier if you hold this with your pliers, just like that, okay? And I will lay him right in here, and just close it up. And you might have to wiggle him around a little bit to get him down in there, but like this. And then just close it. Now, if you want to put a dab of glue on these, you can, and it will secure them really well. I usually do that, but I haven't been doing it lately just because I've been lazy. Just haven't done it, but you can put a dab of glue in this little clamshell cover, and it will secure it to where it will not come undone. But I'm probably not going to today because I'm lazy today too. So I'm just going to close it up really well and be done with it. Okay, so there's that one. So do that to all of your little pieces and come right back. Okay, so I've got all my little clamshells hooked on here. So now I need to decide how I want to pattern my beads. So I do know with these right here, I've got 6 of them, so I'm going to put 3 per earring. And I know that I want them to hang on the bottoms of 3 of these, 3 of these little rows. And I'm going to leave some chain hanging out the bottom as well, because I like the way that looks. I think it's pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my end one here, and I'm just going to start loading some beads on. So I think I'm going to do one of these darker spacer beads on the top, maybe a lighter one like this, one of these little guys here, and then I'm going to use one of the miracle beads. I need to cut my bicones. I'm forgetting them. Hold on, let me cut these so I can remember that I have them here. Okay. All right. So we'll do that one, then I'll put the bicone on. I'm getting close to the bottom, so let's do a miracle bead, and then a bead cap. You know what? I'm gonna do a bead cap here, and then the miracle bead. Okay, and then another bead cap. And then my flower, and I'm going to do a bead cap on the top of my flower, facing down like that, and then my flower. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that, I think. Okay, so then all we're going to do is we're going to take a crimp bead, put it on here, and just crimp it down. Now, I'm not going to worry about using crimping pliers on this because they're really not noticeable once they're on the end of this chain. You can't even really see them. I mean, you can, but you'd have to really examine it closely to see that they're not, that they're not crimped down perfectly. Okay, so here's our first little dangle. And I made this a little tight. You might want to make yours a little looser. Let me bend it around. Let's see if I can loosen it up a little bit, because I don't want it to hang stick straight. I want it to have some movement to it. Yeah. So crimp yours down. Leave a little movement in between before you crimp your crimp bead down, is what I'm trying to say, and saying it very unsuccessfully. Okay, but that'll be all right. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I want them to match, so I'm going to do the darker spacer bead first, and then the lighter one. Darker spacer bead, lighter spacer bead. And I wanted to mention, I've got a lot of people who say they are newer beaders that are watching, and I've had several people tell me, they're like, I just don't know how to get started. I don't know where to start. And so I've been thinking back, kind of like, okay, what did I do when I very first started out? Because you don't have a lot of stash at that point, and it's not like you can just sit down and make anything you want. So what I did is I would pick a project. Like, I would go on YouTube and I would find somebody making something that I wanted to make. And then I would just buy the products for that project. So, I did bead weaving in the beginning, but, say this project, okay? So just for an example, I would just go out and buy the things I needed for this project. And what you'll find is eventually you won't have to go out and buy as much stuff, because now, okay, let me stop a second here. I'm only using these flowers on 3 of them. So on this one, I'm going to have to do something else here. Oh no, wait, I'm copying my last one. See, I get to talking and then, okay, never mind. Do this one the same, sorry. But anyway, that's what I would do. And then it kind of builds your stash because you're not going to use everything in that project. You know, you'll have leftovers of things, is what I'm trying to say. So it kind of builds your stash. So then the next project you do, you'll probably have a couple of things. Like, you know, you'll have some crimp beads or you'll have some whatever. Um, but that's kind of how I did it. And as far as ideas, you know, or things that you want to do, um, a lot of times I still will sit down and just stare at my beads. Like when I get the bargain bead box, I just sit down and look at it for a while because you don't, you know, sometimes it takes a little while for inspiration to come. Okay, now we're going to do our next one, so I'm just going to decide what beads I want to use. Um, so yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to figure these things out, you know, or to get inspiration, but that's what I would do. I would just pick a project, find something on Pinterest, or YouTube's better if you're brand new because it's tutorials. You know, you can find tutorials, whereas Pinterest, it's just a picture that you're going to have to copy, which if you can do that, great. But a lot of people, you know, in the very beginning have a little trouble doing that. So you find tutorials on YouTube and then just go buy those products. And it doesn't have to be the exact same thing. So for example, with this one, you know, you could use any chandelier component on this earring. It doesn't have to be just this one. It could be anything. So, you know, that's what I would do. And and then eventually, I mean, you get to the point where you get creative on your own and you know, you can think things up on your own. So, it gets easier, you know, as you go along. But that's what I would do in the beginning. All right, so this one now, the second one here, we want to be just a tad longer than the first one, and it's not going to have a flower on it. So I'm just beading. So I used two of my little 8/0s, and then my lighter spacer, then my darker spacer. Now I'm doing a bicone. Okay, now I'm going to do bead caps and my miracle bead. And you know, if you want to build your stash, a good place to do that is dollarbead.com. They have some nice beads, glass beads for $1 a strand. I mean, and they're big strands, so you can build your stash that way. Okay. So I definitely want this guy here. So let me just lay these out. Yeah, I want him to come down maybe 1 or 2 more beads than this one, not a lot. So I'm going to do another bicone and a spacer. So let's do this bicone right here. And then I'm going to do the spacer and then the crimp bead. Okay. So I'm leaving quite a bit hanging out the bottoms of these. I like the way that looks. Now I'm not going to crimp this up as tight as I did on my last one. I'm going to give it a little bit of movement. Alright, see how it can wiggle a little. Okay, so then I'm going to lay him right here. And that's what he looks like. So he's going to hang, you know, he's got a few beads just below this one, which is what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and do my other one like this one and then come right on back. Okay, so here's our second strand. Now we're going to do our middle strand. It's going to end in a flower, and it's going to come down to a point a little bit lower than these other two. So I'm just going to pick some beads and start. I'm going to put this darker spacer on first. And then probably a couple of these little guys right here, these 8/0s. But anyway, to the new beaders, if you have questions, feel free to email me. I don't mind one bit. I may not answer you that very day, but I will eventually get back to you. You know, things have been kind of crazy lately for me in my personal life and just in life in general. So, but I will get back to you, and I don't mind. I like to try to help people who are starting out. So yeah, feel free to email me. I don't mind that one bit. And I'll put my email in the description box below. I know it's in like a bunch of my videos, but I'll add it in. So all I'm doing here is just putting some, you know, the same beads on, not exactly in the same order as these, but similarly, just so it kind of matches, and I hope I had one more miracle bead and dropped it, so I think I'll be good for the other earring. I need to make sure that I have enough, because I didn't have very many of these. Okay, we'll do another bicone. Now let me see where this is gonna lay here. Yeah, so I'm gonna do probably need to go ahead and do this one. Yeah. So I think what I will do is one more little spacer. I'll use this one. And my bead cap. And my flower. And then I'll crimp it. Alright, there we go. So we got that. Just going to go ahead and crimp it on the bottom here. Oops. Don't crimp it so tight that there's no movement like I did in the beginning. That's kind of bad when you do that. Okay. And the reason, I mean, you could use eye pins or head pins to do this if you wanted to. The reason I use the Coriana chain is I like the way that it moves, and it doesn't, I don't like it being just stiff. And even though you can hook the eye pins or head pins together with jump rings and make links, I still don't necessarily love that look. I like this look a lot better. Okay, so here's what I've got. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim up some of my little ends. So this one I'm going to leave. This one I'm just going to go about right here and trim it. This is totally just how you want it to look, okay? This is not, I mean, it's just personal preference. So just do what you want to do here. Okay, and then this middle one, straighten him out. Straighten this out. Okay. This middle one, I'm going to go right about here to start, and then we'll check. I may need to do a little bit more. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my jump rings, and I'm going to attach all of these to the little loops. So go ahead and do that, and come on back. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. I think they're really cute. I'm not a huge hot pink fan, but I think these are all right. Okay, so now we're going to do a little dangle for right here. So that's what our little guy right here is for. We're going to put him on. We're just going to put a bicone on here. And I'm going to make a wrapped loop. Now, I want to make this wrapped loop pretty small because I'm going to hook this on with a jump ring. And you're going to have to make your wrapped loop pretty small anyway because this little head pin is like micro. So I'm going to make it tiny, tiny, tiny little wrapped loop. These are the smallest head pins I have ever seen. They're cute, but they're not super functional. You know, you can do this with them, but that's about it. You can put one bead on a, because they're ball head pins and they're so thin, you can't put more than, they have to be a wrapped loop, so you really can't put more than one bead on there. Somebody did suggest rolling them down kind of like a split ring, and that's an idea. I'm not sure how secure. I guess it would be pretty secure. I don't know. This wire's so thin. Okay. So there's our little dangle, and we're just going to hook him on. And I did neglect to mention that you needed ear wires, but that's pretty important. I've got some just post ear wires here. You do need those, at least some sort of ear wire. Yeah, I should have, that's kind of the most important thing really in an earring, because, you know, even if you make the earring, you can't hang it on your body, your ears, if you don't have ear wires. So it would have been good to have mentioned that in the beginning, but I am sorry. I forgot them. And I'm just going to close this head pin, or this jump ring up here. If I can. Having troubles. There we go. Alright, so there's our little dangle. That turned out pretty. Now I'm just going to attach this to my ear wire. So I've got these, like I said, these little post ear wires. I'm just going to put it on with a jump ring. And the reason I'm using these posts is just because I didn't, this is a long earring to start with. It's a chandelier. It's meant to be long. And so I just thought, you know, I didn't really want to use a fish hook and make it that much longer. So the post works pretty good. If I can get it on there. It's going to be one of those days with my hands. I can tell already. They're having issues. There we go. Alrighty. And just make sure all your jump rings are closed up, and there's what you've got. A really pretty, just dangly statement pair of earrings. So yeah, I love chandelier earrings. And it's funny because the store that I work in, you know, people, I'm used to, let me just say it this way, I'm used to 4.5, 5-inch earrings because the store I work for, we make big stuff. And so this to me is not overdone at all, and I tend to go bigger, so I like them. Some people, I know they're not everybody's taste, but I think they're pretty. So, alright, well, that's it for this video. I'm not going to make the other one right here in front of you because I think you can follow the video and do that yourself. And if you're interested in subscribing to Bargain Bead Box, I will have a link in the description box below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!